Welcome back for another top-notch video. This week, guys, we'll be talking about the 15th of March through the 19th of March. As always, the top-notch channel is about the Thrift Savings Plan, or the TSP. We also talk about brokerage, Roth IRA accounts. If you're in the stock market or retirement funds, this is the channel for you. Please like, subscribe, or share. For those in the Thrift Savings Plan or the TSP, we talk about the C, S, I, and F funds. And for those that are in the market, we talk about the ETFs, IVV, VXF, EFA, and AGG. What these equal out to is the S&P 500, small caps, international markets, and bonds. We generally do a very overview of the market and what it did this last week, and then we do a technical analysis as well as show you where we are allocated for the week. Again, if that interests you or you have comments, please write those below. Otherwise, like and subscribe and share. Let's get right into the video for this week. The first thing we like to look at is a site called TSP Talk. It's a website. Definitely recommend you check them out. They kind of do just some very awesome stuff in regards to what the market was doing for this last week. And let's look at what the market was doing. So as you can see, guys, for the most part, it was a down week for markets. Bonds, AGG was down for the week. The C fund or IVV was down for the week. The S fund VXF was down for the week. The only thing being up was the I fund or international markets, which was EFA. For the year, as you can see, markets are still up, so that is good. The S fund is leading at 10%. The other two funds are right around just under 5% for the I fund, and the C fund. While bonds is down for the year almost 3.5%, just a little over 3.5%. So let's go into our commentary of what we have with markets. This is kind of from Thursday, but we're just going to show you guys some very general trend lines. Tom does some commentary here, so that's good for him to, if you guys are interested, please click on his commentary. He does a really good job. As you can see here, the two trend lines he has drawn in here, this is the upper trend line, lower trend line. Typically, market stays in between these two trend lines. As you can see, we're kind of drifting right in the middle of those trend lines. With some downward pull on Friday, so just keep that in mind. But overall, markets are trending just right in the middle. Now, the interesting thing with markets is we had a drop towards the end of January and then the beginning of March, but this was a lower high here and a higher high here. Higher high, lower high, so those are good things. Higher high, hopefully a lower high here. 50-day moving average is right around here. I think that would be a good spot of where this could end up rebounding off, but just keep that in mind moving forward. We'll talk more about it in our technical analysis. For the S fund, which has been leading the market so far, we see an inverted head and shoulders. So you can see the left shoulder here, the head, and then the right shoulder over here. Now, typically what that is, it's a very bullish pattern. And I could definitely see this probably coming to the 50-day moving average before moving up, and we'll show you more in our technical analysis. As far as bonds go, or AGG, again, if you've listened to my commentary for this year, not doing very well. Look at these moving averages move below the 200-day moving average. 200-day moving average is starting to roll over, very negative sign. So let's get right into our technical analysis and our charts. So the first chart we're going to show you here is IVV. With IVV, like I mentioned on those other charts, guys, it is starting to fall just a little bit. But the very positive sign here is we had a low here, lower high. So this is a little bit higher than this low. It's a very positive thing. Bounced off this moving average, so that is good. And then we have our high here and a higher high here just by a little bit. So that is a good thing there. I think there's a lot of support here. I think that's where it could end up finding some support before we move higher for IVV or the C fund moving forward. Maybe another week or so before we start moving up on this chart. Let's move into the technical analysis for IVV. I'm going to kind of show you some indicators we look at. We look at two kind of indicators. The two things we like to look at are the derivative oscillator and the PPO, or the price percentage oscillator. The derivative oscillator is these green and red bars here. Basically, when green bars are falling into red bars, this is price up here. So they price tends to fall, and when when the red bars rise into green bars, price tends to rise. So ever since January, we've seen this negative kind of price has been going down on the long-term charts on the derivative oscillator. And so we've kind of waited for that to kind of change. And we saw that here towards the end of March. As you can see, we kind of hit our top here on the red bars. And prices kind of been just kind of moving back and forth for the most part since we moved into these red bars. But this has been positive the last 2 weeks, which is a really good sign for IVV. And then the other indicator we like to look at is the PPO line. So that's the blue line being above the moving average, which is the red line. If the blue is above red, price tends to go up, and when it drops below red, price tends to drop. So our other indicator here is the PPO line is below our moving average. This is moving back up, and so when we have one indicator that is positive and one is negative, we like to say that is proceed with caution, or a yellow light. We have red, yellow, and green. This would be a yellow sign, proceed with caution. If we look at short-term charts, which are the exact same indicators, just going to give us a better idea of where we're looking at. You can see here on this chart that our PPO line is below and our derivative oscillator is below. That is two negative signs. That's a red light. We don't want to get involved in this fund just yet, but like I mentioned on our charts, guys, we could see support here very quickly within this next week. And if we see that, we see our oscillators start to pick up, both oscillators start to move in a positive direction. This could be a buy for the first time this year for us, which would be a very positive thing for IVV. We are just waiting for those signals on the short-term chart since we have kind of a better signal on this long-term chart. So we're just waiting on that. We'll wait and see where we go from that. But I'm thinking you might want to be looking at our Facebook page or our Twitter account. We do make our moves on there, and we will let you know when we do make our moves. That is IVV for the week. Let's move on to VXF. VXF, like I mentioned on that other chart, kind of that head and shoulders pattern there. As you can see that, have a little support here at the bottom of this trend line, and the 50-day moving average right there. I don't think it'll move very much past that. We could start to see it move in a positive direction starting this week. Let's look at the technical analysis for VXF or the S fund. Again, this fund has been leading for the year. For the Top Notch channel, we've been very cautious on this fund just because our oscillators, our derivative oscillator was in the negative here. We did have a positive one here, but that's proceed with caution. And then towards the end of February, we got a negative red sign to stay out of this fund. And we're still in a red sign here. Our bars are more red, moving towards the red here, and our blue line is below our red line. That is a red light for us. We don't really see a buy on the long term for the VXF at this time. On the short term chart for VXF, another red sign here. Not really a buy signal here for the short term basis. PPO line, blue is under red. Price is reacting, moving downward. So we'll have to wait and see where that goes from here. Let's move into EFA, or the I fund for TSP users. That is the international markets. As you can see here, we have our trend line drawn here on this chart, and it bounced once, twice, 3 times on this chart. Could come down once again and tap that line. A lot of support in this area. Not really worried to see where that fund will go. It has been holding this shorter term support line, but we'll have to wait and see where this goes this next week. Let's look at the technical analysis charts for EFA. Again, same indicators we like to look at for EFA. What are we seeing? This is a positive sign here for our derivative oscillator. Good things here. Negative sign for the PPO line, though. So that is a cautionary yellow light for us. Proceed with caution on this fund. Price has been kind of just meh, ever since 19 February, just kind of not really gone anywhere. Hopefully we can see this start to pick up a little bit in the future weeks so we can get involved in this fund. On the short-term basis, we don't have a buy right now. As you can see, this is shorter-term charts for the next week or so. Would not be putting money into this fund or buying into this position, as the derivative oscillator has been negative for most of March, almost for the entire month. We had a little uptick there, but towards the back end of this, the last week or 2 weeks, this last week for the most part, it's been negative, and then the PPO line is just about to cross here. Could see some negative action this next week for the I fund or EFA international markets. And last but not least, we have bonds. Well, look at that, guys. It's not even showing up on my screen for how low it is. This fund has continued to just got beaten down, guys. Honestly, it's This is the 200-day moving average, and it's starting to decrease here. Very, very negative sign. Our fastest moving average is on the bottom here, negative sign. We have crossed this trend line into negative territory here. Could expect a rebound soon, but this is, again, not good for those that are in balanced portfolios ever since September, October, November, December time frame into January 21, February, and March now. Not a good place to be for bonds. Let's look at it from a technical analysis for AGG. Long-term charts, what are we seeing? Look at that, guys. All red bars there. Derivative oscillator is negative the entire length. PPO line is negative the entire length. Price has not recovered at all. We're outside the Bollinger Bands even on price here. That's usually a very negative sign as well. Hopefully we'll move back in these Bollinger Bands and see if the price can move up from there. But that is not a good long-term buy, guys. I would stay out of the F fund. It is not a good buy. Intermixed signals here. We have for a short-term buy, this looks good here. For a short-term buy, but I'm just very cautious. I don't have a green light here. It's yellow. And with long-term charts in the red or a red light, I would just stay away from this fund for the time being. That is all of our charts, guys. If you have any questions, please write them in the comments below. As always on the Top Notch channel, we show you guys where we are allocated. Like I mentioned, we are allocated for the TSP users in the G fund, or for those in Roth IRA and brokerage accounts, we are in cash. We are waiting for that IVV or the C fund just to pick up a little bit on charts, on our short-term charts. Like I said, we could I thought we might see a move last week, but I think it'll happen this week, and we'll get back involved in these funds. Been out of funds for some time. Really want to get involved and be in this market with everybody else, but we will wait till we have those technical analysis. With new funds also going into the G fund, I think we'll see that possibly for this full final week of March, sometime in there. Please pay attention to our Facebook and Twitter accounts. As always, really appreciate you guys having watched this video. Please like, subscribe, or share, and we'll see you guys next time. That's another top-notch video.